Hello everyone, and welcome to my Beyond the Gates official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Vernon and Sharon's world began to crumble as Tracy, fueled by suspicion and a relentless desire for justice, edged closer to uncovering the secrets they had so carefully buried, and the tension in Fairmont Crest was palpable as the holiday lights twinkled outside their lavish windows, masking the storm that was about to erupt inside. Vernon, normally composed and calculating, found his hands trembling slightly as he paced the marble floors of his penthouse, the weight of decades of lies pressing down on him, while Sharon, always the social chameleon, struggled to maintain her facade of elegance and serenity, her carefully curated smile now brittle, as if any moment of genuine expression could betray the truth she had worked so hard to hide. Tracy, with her keen instincts and intuition honed from years of observing people like Vernon and Sharon, had begun piecing together fragments of conversations, half-heard phone calls, and cryptic messages, each clue a thread that could unravel the entire tapestry of deceit, and her determination was further fueled by the injustice she had witnessed in the community, the quiet suffering of innocents who had unknowingly been caught in the crossfire of Vernon and Sharon's manipulations. She began by retracing old social gatherings, where the couple's polished appearances had always masked their machinations, noting subtle glances exchanged between them, a hand lingering just a second too long over a drink, a nervous laugh at a story too dark to be funny, and each observation added to her mounting suspicion, building a mental dossier of incriminating behavior that she knew could eventually topple their carefully constructed world. Meanwhile, Vernon and Sharon began to sense a shift in the atmosphere, subtle yet unmistakable. The way neighbors' eyes lingered a fraction longer when they spoke, the hushed whispers behind closed doors, and most damningly, the way Tracy had begun attending every public event with an almost predatory attentiveness, asking questions that seemed innocent on the surface, but were laced with double meanings and hidden intentions, and panic set in, a creeping terror that had Vernon pacing endlessly in the penthouse, rehearsing lies and alibis, trying desperately to anticipate Tracy's next move, while Sharon resorted to charm and deflection, attempting to seduce trust from friends and colleagues alike. But each smile felt forced, each laugh hollow, as if the very act of pretending was eroding her from the inside out. In the midst of this psychological warfare, Tracy made a breakthrough, uncovering evidence that tied Vernon and Sharon to a decades-old scandal involving embezzlement, manipulation of business partners, and even cover-ups of personal tragedies that had been conveniently brushed under the rug. And as the pieces fell into place, the enormity of their crimes became undeniable, the web of deceit so intricate that it took every ounce of Tracy's focus to keep track of who knew what and when, and she realized that exposure was not just possible but inevitable if she played her cards carefully, timing her revelations to maximize impact and ensure that the consequences would be irrevocable. The tension between the three of them escalated to a boiling point when Tracy confronted Vernon during a high-profile gala, the room buzzing with guests oblivious to the underlying storm, and Vernon's usual smooth, practiced responses faltered under the piercing precision of Tracy's questions, each one designed to probe, unsettle, and reveal, while Sharon's panic manifested in subtle but telling gestures, her fingers fidgeting with a napkin, her eyes darting nervously across the crowd, her carefully rehearsed composure slipping in fragments, with every accusation whispered from Tracy's lips. In a dramatic crescendo, Tracy presented evidence that not only implicated Vernon and Sharon in financial wrongdoing but also in personal betrayals, exposing a series of clandestine affairs, secret alliances, and manipulations that painted them as far more ruthless and calculating than the community had ever suspected. And as the crowd's attention slowly shifted from champagne glasses and hors d'oeuvres to the escalating confrontation, Vernon's face drained of color, the mask of control shattering, while Sharon attempted a desperate, last-minute diversion, fabricating a story of misunderstanding and miscommunication. But Tracy's relentless precision left no room for plausible deniability, and the magnitude of the revelation left both Vernon and Sharon paralyzed. trapped by the very lies that had once afforded them comfort and power. The fallout was immediate and chaotic, with whispers turning into gossip, friends distancing themselves, business partners questioning past dealings, and the media, always hungry for scandal, beginning to sniff out the story like vultures circling a carcass, and Vernon and Sharon were forced into a defensive posture, seeking legal counsel, orchestrating damage control, and attempting to salvage their public images. Yet every move was shadowed by Tracy's continued vigilance, her knowledge and preparation ensuring that each lie would be met with counter-evidence, each excuse countered by undeniable truth, and the psychological pressure mounted exponentially as they realized that the days of manipulation, deceit, and unchallenged power were over, replaced by a new reality where accountability, exposure, and judgment loomed. Tracy, meanwhile, balanced the exhilaration of her triumph with the sobering awareness that unmasking Vernon and Sharon would also ripple through the community, impacting those who had unwittingly supported or benefited from their schemes. Yet her sense of justice outweighed any hesitation, propelling her forward with a combination of courage, intellect, and moral conviction. And as the night wore on, with the city lights shimmering through the penthouse windows, the once pristine veneer of Vernon and Sharon's lives had cracked irreparably, revealing the dark undercurrents of greed, ambition, and betrayal that had long dictated their actions, while Tracy, standing resolute amidst the chaos she had orchestrated, embodied the relentless pursuit of truth, proving that even in a world dominated by appearances, secrets inevitably surface, and the consequences of deceit are as inescapable as the shadows they try to hide behind. The aftermath saw Vernon and Sharon grappling with personal and professional ruin, their relationship strained to the breaking point as mutual blame, recrimination, and fear of further exposure created an atmosphere thick with tension and suspicion, while Tracy's reputation as a tenacious, fearless investigator solidified, earning her both allies who admired her courage and enemies who feared her scrutiny. And as Fairmont Crest buzzed with speculation, the ripple effects of the revelation continued to unfold, with previously hidden alliances revealed, old grievances resurfacing, and the community itself forced to confront uncomfortable truths about loyalty, complicity, and the fragility of trust, creating a narrative tapestry rich with conflict, emotion, and the stark reminder that in a world of ambition and deception, no secret remains buried forever. And as Vernon and Sharon retreated into the shadows of their former grandeur, the story of Tracy's triumph became a cautionary tale, a testament to the power of persistence, observation, and moral courage, while also leaving an open-ended tension that hinted at future confrontations, lingering consequences, and the ever-present possibility that in Fairmont Crest, nothing is truly resolved, and every action, no matter how calculated, inevitably carries a consequence, shaping the lives, relationships, and destinies of all who dwell beyond the gates. And as the screen faded to black, viewers were left on the edge of their seats, hearts racing with anticipation, eager to witness the next chapter in a saga defined by ambition, betrayal, and the unyielding pursuit of truth, ensuring that the saga of Vernon, Sharon, and Tracy would resonate long after the credits rolled, a story of secrets unearthed, power challenged, and the indomitable human spirit prevailing in the face of darkness, forever cementing Beyond the Gates as a dramatic powerhouse in American television storytelling, where every revelation, confrontation, and twist leaves audiences spellbound, craving more, and reminded that behind every perfectly manicured facade lies a labyrinth of hidden motives, whispered lies, and truths waiting to be discovered. And in this labyrinth, Tracy had proven herself both guide and guardian, illuminating the path of justice in a world shadowed by ambition, deceit, and unspoken fears, leaving viewers breathless, hearts pounding, and minds racing with the endless possibilities of what might come next in a story where the stakes are as high as the emotions that drive them, and where the unmasking of Vernon and Sharon served not only as a climax, but as a catalyst for an ongoing saga of intrigue, suspense, and the relentless pursuit of truth that defines Beyond the Gates, A narrative universe where every character's choices reverberate, every secret tempts exposure, and every heartbeat counts in the electrifying dance between deception and revelation. And as the audience absorbed the tension, the drama, and the meticulous unraveling of lies, they were reminded that in Fairmont Crest, no one is untouchable. No secret is safe, and the courage to confront darkness is the first step toward illuminating a path through the shadows, a truth embodied in Tracy's fearless confrontation of Vernon and Sharon, a confrontation that would echo through the halls of the series for seasons to come, leaving viewers captivated, emotionally invested, and acutely aware that in a world beyond the gates, the interplay of power, secrecy, and morality is both unpredictable and endlessly compelling, a masterclass in suspense, narrative tension, and the irresistible allure of human drama. The following morning, Fairmont Crest awoke to an undercurrent of unease as neighbors whispered about the previous night's gala, speculating about the icy tension between Vernon and Sharon and the sharp, unwavering scrutiny in Tracy's eyes. And as the sun glinted off the pristine glass facades of the Crest towers, the public facade of wealth and civility belied the chaos roiling beneath. Vernon, normally impervious to gossip, found himself checking his phone obsessively, reading emails, texts, and social media posts, each notification a potential dagger of exposure, each comment a reminder that the truth had slipped into public consciousness, and his mind raced through every scenario, every potential strategy for damage control, yet nothing seemed sufficient to contain the fallout. Sharon, meanwhile, retreated into the sanctuary of her meticulously decorated home, pacing in designer heels, rehearsing half-truths and carefully crafted alibis, her eyes scanning every mirror, every reflection, as if she could detect the cracks forming in her own composure, the cracks that had been exposed by Tracy's relentless pursuit. And though she tried to summon her signature poise, a subtle tremor betrayed the anxiety that pulsed through her, a tremor that Vernon noticed with mounting alarm, knowing that their united front was fracturing at precisely the moment when cohesion was most necessary. In the midst of this personal turmoil, Tracy was not idle. Her investigation had intensified, fueled by the knowledge that timing was critical, that the longer she allowed Vernon and Sharon to regroup, the greater their chances of obfuscating the truth, and she began meticulously cross-referencing financial records, past communications, and private correspondences, piecing together a chronological tapestry that left little room for doubt, her mind operating with a combination of precision, intuition, and unrelenting determination, while she also carefully considered the ethical implications of each revelation, aware that exposing corruption came at a cost not only to the perpetrators but also to the innocent caught in the fallout. In a particularly tense moment, Tracy discovered a hidden ledger buried deep within Vernon's business accounts, a document detailing a series of illicit transactions and under-the-table deals that implicated not only him but also Sharon and a cadre of trusted associates who had enabled their schemes. And as she absorbed the gravity of this evidence, a sense of vindication surged through her, tempered by the realization that the stakes were now higher than ever, and any misstep could allow Vernon and Sharon to regain the upper hand. Sensing that her scrutiny was affecting their carefully orchestrated lives, Vernon and Sharon began to maneuver defensively, orchestrating clandestine meetings with legal advisors, financial consultants, and loyal confidants, all in a desperate attempt to shield themselves from exposure. Yet with every action they took, Tracy was already anticipating their moves, preempting their counter-moves, and strategically positioning herself to maintain the advantage, a chess game played with lives, reputations, and power as the ultimate stakes. As the week unfolded, tensions in Fairmont Crest escalated to nearly unbearable levels, with once trusted allies questioning loyalties, community leaders confronting uncomfortable truths, and social circles fracturing under the weight of suspicion. And within the walls of their opulent homes, Vernon and Sharon's interactions grew increasingly strained, each word exchanged laced with veiled accusation, each glance a potential spark for conflict. And the realization that their empire of lies was crumbling created a volatile, combustible atmosphere, one that threatened to ignite at the slightest provocation. Tracy, sensing an opportunity to force a confession, arranged a private confrontation under the guise of reconciliation, inviting Vernon and Sharon to a secluded location ostensibly to discuss mutual concerns. But in reality, she had carefully staged the setting to maximize psychological pressure, positioning herself strategically, controlling the environment, and subtly signaling that she held the upper hand. And as Vernon and Sharon arrived, tentative, wary, and visibly anxious, Tracy's calm, measured demeanor contrasted sharply with the storm raging behind their eyes, a tension that crackled like static electricity, ready to discharge with catastrophic consequences. During this confrontation, the dialogue became a delicate dance of words and insinuation, with Tracy weaving pointed questions into casual conversation, Vernon floundering in increasingly convoluted explanations, and Sharon's attempts at charm devolving into thinly veiled desperation, each exchange a microcosm of the larger battle for dominance, trust, and survival. And as the minutes stretched, it became increasingly clear that the power dynamic had shifted irrevocably, with Tracy controlling not only the narrative but also the emotional rhythm of the encounter, her presence an unyielding force that exposed vulnerabilities the couple had long suppressed. The confrontation reached a dramatic apex when Tracy, producing irrefutable evidence, forced Vernon and Sharon into an admission of guilt, the weight of truth crashing over them like a tidal wave, their carefully constructed personas collapsing in an instant, and the psychological impact was immediate. Vernon's confidence, once unshakable, disintegrated into panic, while Sharon's elegance gave way to raw fear and frustration, a combination that left them vulnerable, exposed, and utterly unprepared for the social and legal repercussions that would inevitably follow. As news of the confrontation leaked to the community, the domino effect was instantaneous, triggering a cascade of revelations, public condemnations, and private reckonings, and the media descended on Fairmont Crest like a storm, amplifying the scandal, dissecting every detail, and broadcasting the unraveling of Vernon and Sharon's world to a captivated and at times horrified audience. While Tracy emerged as a formidable figure, a symbol of moral fortitude, cunning, and relentless pursuit of justice, embodying the narrative heartbeat of Beyond the Gates itself. Yet even amid this apparent triumph, new challenges arose. Vernon and Sharon, though publicly humiliated, began plotting subtle retaliations, leveraging remaining allies, exploiting legal loopholes, and attempting clandestine damage control measures, while Tracy, aware that exposing corruption was rarely a final act but rather the beginning of a more complex struggle, prepared herself for ongoing battles, each requiring tactical brilliance, emotional resilience, and unwavering courage. And as Fairmont Crest watched, the drama evolved into a multi-layered saga, where every revelation prompted further intrigue, and where the interplay of secrets, lies, and ambition continued to drive a narrative that was at once unpredictable, thrilling, and intensely human. Simultaneously, the personal stakes escalated as both Vernon and Sharon confronted the unraveling of not only their public images, but also their intimate relationships, alliances forged in secrecy, and the very foundation of trust that had enabled their schemes. And as